Hi, so it's a nice sunny day today and I'm out in Norwich to visit a customer that's just had a Pevex Bohemia X30 Cube fitted in his house. And we tend to use this for certain circumstances where often other things won't fit the job. And I've brought quite an array of kit with me. So you probably wonder what I'm up to with sandpaper. We've got bicarbonate soda and wire brushes and goodness only knows what. Anyway, we're going to go and have a look at his fireplace and see what we can do. It helps to learn a few tricks and we thought this might be quite an interesting one, so I'm going to light this up with him for the first burn, and he's kindly said I can do a little bit of video with it. Oops. So here we go. It's an old Victorian type property. It's a lovely stained glass windows. So this is an old Victorian property. Beautiful windows. I love stained glass windows. Right in the heart of Norwich. Can I go and the fireplaces through here. Right, so we're just going to have a look at this fireplace. So Chris has got a lovely stone fireplace. And he didn't want to touch it. And I don't blame him, because I wouldn't have wanted to touch it either, because it's stunning. But it's a tiny touch awkward. So they wanted a freestanding stove. And there's not a lot that you can fit in a hole that size. So this fireplace is only 500 millimeters high. And this is the shortest stove really that I know of on the market. I think it was 550 wide, wasn't it, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah, it was 550 wide and 500 high. And it's got a few things that were going to make it a tad awkward to get a fire in here. The first part was that this piece of the hearth at the back is actually recessed and drops down. So whatever we were going to have to do was going to have to raise up. And because of the height of the opening, it meant that I couldn't get any inset fire to fit in the hole. None of them would fit because they're all 550 millimeters high. So to put an inset fire in that gap, we would have had to destroy this stone surround. And it's far too nice to do that. So this was it. You didn't get much choice. We had to put a stove in. There only are a couple of really small ones. We had to put a stove in where we knew we could have the door at a height that you could open the door and clear the front of the hearth. Because it's raised at the front and it's raised here, and there's nothing really else that's going to do the job. It's just as well that this model is one that I know and runs really well, and it's a little cracker. So you can see there, it's tight. There's not a lot of space at all, but we've got about 2.5 inches either side and not a lot of room at all above. So the flue goes in there and it's just sealed into that plate, and we've had the pipe is then connected further up and connected onto the liner. We've had to stick the plate on with high temperature silicone and wedge it up from underneath until it's set and gone off before we can light this. So it looks similar to an inset fire. And it's a great big room, lovely big room with a big bay window. But I couldn't give them any bigger, not if we want to keep this around. And it's stunning. So what you see is that stone is beautifully all carved out. I think that's sandstone. It's not sandstone, is it? Sandstone or limestone? I'm not very sure which, to be perfectly honest. It's stunning. It's a really nice old stone surround. It's a bit dirty, but that's what happens to stone over time and cream. So we're going to try and give it a wee bit of a gentle clean up, which we haven't actually done yet. The back part here of it is curved. It's curved inwards. So it wasn't something we could just sort of easily plate off or put surrounds or trims onto. It just had a lot of quirks, a lot of things that make it difficult without pulling it all out. And that was not negotiable, and quite rightly so. Okay, so I look like I've been through a bush backwards as usual. Oh, who cares? I'm past caring. No, it's because I had the roof down in the car as well. Right, okay, so one of the good things about this little stove is it may be one of the tiniest stoves in the market, but it'll take a 10-inch split log. And that is actually exceptionally rare because most little stoves only take 6 or 7 inch long lugs in some cases. You can't buy 6 or 7 inch logs. You don't want to be cutting these down the middle horizontally that way, because if you're cutting them that way, that means you need a chainsaw for every log. And I couldn't be doing that. That would drive me absolutely scatty. I want to be able to buy my logs in, and a 10-inch split is the standard size you're going to get from any supplier or buy pre-cut in a bag or in a crate from anywhere. So you want to be able to get them in the door. Now this may be tiny, but to me this is the biggest, smallest stove you'll get. You'll easily get 2 proper sized 10-inch splits in here. Now when I start a fire, I want to start with 4 small logs. But that 4 small logs is only 1 kilo of fuel. Try to do this with one hand and sit on the floor at the same time. It's only 1 to 1.2 kilos. So basically the 2 halves, it's 1 circle cut into 4, 1 round log cut into 4 pieces. And they're a great size for starting off with. And once it's up to temperature, you can then burn 1 bigger log. 1 half, 2 halves, but as little as possible. Only what you need, because it'll burn at the same speed whether you burn at the same time if you put 2 logs in as 1 log in. But the 4 will give you a really nice big hot red ember bed to work with, and then you can burn 1 at a time. So you only put what you need for the heat output you need out. It's dead easy. There's nothing more to it than that. So I'm just going to pop these in here. This has had a fire lighter. Whoops. This has had a smoke pellet in here to test it with the fitter cable to fit. You'll see there's plenty of room in there for those. This is a multi-fuel, so it has a little ash pan. It's a good sized ash pan. It's about 45mm deep. I don't think it's quite as much as 50. It's a good sized pan at the bottom. And what we've actually done in this is raised that up. This will clean down a bit. That will go blacker. We'll get a cloth and we'll have a go at this in a minute. But this is a piece of honed granite that we put in there because with this stove being low, we needed to make sure that it could clear the hearth on the front. So we had to raise the floor up a little bit. And there was nothing else going to fit in this hole that was going to be sensible. So all those logs will fit in there easily like that. Now that's still quite a lot of height for this being a tiny little stove. And it's not a cold day, so just to make my life easier, I think I will just put the 2 in there because we're going to bake the paint on the unit and it's going to smell a bit as the paint bakes on. So I am just going to put my kindling stack on there and pop a fire lighter in here. Oops, I'm throwing it around now. Pop a fire lighter in there. Just like that. And then light it. These don't smell. These are the quick fire lighters Dad usually use that we keep in the shop. They are 10 quid for 100. They don't smell a thing. Bag of them and they're in a cellulose packet. And you only need 1 at a time and you just like to pack it. And they smell of absolutely nothing. And 1 at a time is fine. No more than that.
Did you not just put them in there?
I have put 1 in there. I was looking at them in the tub. So I'll put a link on there for those. Now, this is a bit where you're trying to do... I like my blowtorch because I can do it with a hand. Oh. No, I didn't bring my blowtorch. So we will just light... So I usually use 4 small logs, but just for ease of getting in here, they will fit. But we want this to burn off because the paint's going to burn off and stink. And we don't really want it too hot today because it's not cold yet. We want the paint to go off because we have to paint the board on the wall and paint the fire. So it's going to get a bit stinky so the paint goes off. So it's better to have a smaller fire, let it go out and then do another one later.
Looks nice already.
So I'm just going to leave the door. So we're just going to leave the door slightly ajar. The top vent's open, the bottom vent's open. And once that has caught, in the next minute or 2, it's got enough pull on it. I'm just going to shut the door and leave it to it. And just leave all the vents open.
So where's the vents at the top?
So we've got a vent at the top here.
And how do we know if that's open? It's always to the right, is
On
it?
yours, on this one,
It's on
these
the
are
right.
open to where they're on the right hand side. Liz.
Thank you.
So we're going to have the top and the bottom one open. It's also in the manual. Chris has got the copy of the manual. So we just leave the vents fully open, top and bottom. Door slightly ajar. The handles on these are air cooled, so they do get warm, but they don't get crazy hot. I don't think you need your gloves. No. I don't need your gloves on these. So what will happen is the baffle and the inside will start to go black. just shortly. So I'm going to just shut the door because the kindling's starting to establish quite well. There we go. The kindling's starting to establish quite well, and leave it alone.
So when would you ever have the vents closed?
After it's heated up when we want to control it. So we're just going to leave it for a little bit. So
this is giving the full...
And let it get on with it. So it's getting enough air and plenty of pull because it's got to pull everything up the chimney. Yeah. So as the kindling here burns down, every time it takes a layer, it'll get faster and faster and hotter. So in the inside of that firebox, up there in the top, you're going to see that this bit is all going to start to go black with carbon because it's cold. So as that gets hotter and hotter, that's going to burn off and go all back to being cream. We don't want to try and control that fire until it's cream and it's up to temperature. We want to leave it alone. So every time you open that door, you're going to drop the air pressure because we've got about 8 or 10 metres of, nearly 10 metres I think, of chimney above us. We've got to heat the whole chimney up. So the hot air is rising up and the cold air that's in the chimney is heavier than the hot air. So if you open that door, the cold air is going to push the hot air back down. So once you've shut the door, we do not want to open it until we've heated that chimney. So when you use two small logs in the main room, the kiln dry birch will work just fine. But it's better to use 4 small logs to get more pressure, more push, because you burn through the first log and then you're onto the one below it. So it's like fresh meat, another oomph, push the air up the chimney, and the more pressure you get, the more it pushes out. Because if we haven't got those in and it's a cold day, what will happen is you run out of fuel, so you open the door, the cold air is pushing the hot air back down. So we want to get enough oomph to heat the whole chimney up on the one go. And if you put 4 small ones in, which is about 1.2 kilos probably, that's going to burn for probably a good hour. And you'll be on to about an hour per log on this. 45 minutes to an hour and 10. Once we're down to 1 kilo of wood. 800 grams to 1 kilo of wood per hour on this unit. That's all we're looking to burn, which is one reasonable size log. We've got logs through there, we'll have a look in them in a minute. But I'm going to take a look at the surround while this starts warming through. What Liz and I are just discussing is this was previously an open fire. And with an open fire, 80% of your heat's going up the chimney, whereas these stoves are 80% efficient, so all your heat's going into the room. And this is a convection unit, so it means it's like a box inside a box, so the air circulates around it and pushes it out the front. Now, I can actually feel the heat coming out of this already. I can really feel the heat coming off of this already. It's only been going a couple of minutes and it's going good guns. It's been going about 90 seconds and it really is taking off. It's taken off. Oh goodness, I'm only sure if you don't want to be in the video, that's alright. But it's taken off quick and I can already feel the heat out of that, and there is some pull in that little fire. It doesn't take long. Yeah, you look surprised. It's fab. It's a fabulous little fire and there's a cracking pull in that chimney, Chris. So
this has been a good pull on there though.
So it pushes all the heat out the front, so it doesn't matter that it's only a small amount of space. So we've got 2 inches, 50 mil on either side, and we've only got about 10 mil on the top. We have got permission to put this stove in this opening and fit it like an inset stove from the manufacturers. I'm not doing something that we're breaking rules because I'm not a rule breaker. If it's not good enough for me, it doesn't meet the rules, I'm not going to do that for a customer. But this is a cracking little unit and it'll give them a lot more heat than an open fire. It'll give them the cleanliness and the performance that they're never used to having, and I want to decimate their fuel consumption and have them enjoying it. But Chris has been really good, just with him feet, okay, and brought me a bucket with some water because we're going to have a go at cleaning this fireplace up. It's going goodness. It's absolutely roaring away. So I'm going to shut that bottom vent down because it doesn't need it. It's quite happy burning at that. In fact, it's still pretty damn speedy, to be perfectly honest. The top and the inside is already starting to clear down. It's pulling like a little train.
And the other one, the top one, we don't have to touch.
Well, the top one, we use it like a regulator, Liz. So basically, this top one is controlling your speed. The bottom one, we're only going to use it to get it up to temperature.
Yes, and if not, then shut it off.
This is a multi-fuel, so there's 2 separate air controls on this. So when you're burning the wood, you control it from the top. And if you were burning smokeless fuel, you burn it from the bottom. But we just put it in for wood for you anyway.
Yes.
So much easier and cleaner burning just wood. And do you know what? You've got cream stones around. And if you're burning smokeless filament, it just gets filthy and it's just not worth the aggro. Especially not when we can have it running so nice on so little wood, because we've only got 2 tiny pieces, so we've only got about 800 grams of wood in there, and that's off like a rocket. But once it starts to oil come back cream, you can see there's a little bit of dark in there on the inside of the top. Once that's all come up to cream and it's up to temperature, we can throttle it back a little bit. We've just got to give the chimney a chance to turn up. And you'll see when I turn it down, it comes into check pretty quick. Now, it'll come into check a lot more than that once the actual chimney's up to temperature. That's still my kindling that's on the top. It's going like a rocket at the minute, but that's just those 2 tiny little bits of kiln dry birch, and I'd usually have twice that amount. But I wanted to control the speed of this and how quick it takes off, given I wanted to control the paint. And it's not cold out there today, so I knew it would catch faster on 2, whereas I would normally prefer to use 4. The bottom of the vent is shut. Here's the top vent, you see, so I just turn that like you see, straight into check. Now it may be that we can run with that. We can run with that shut down, and we probably will, but I want to heat the whole chimney up first. So I'm going to open it probably about halfway and let it get on with it until it cleans it all down and starts to bake everything on. And then you wait till it's nearly all gone, you're down to red embers before you put a log in. So we only put, if logs were £5 notes, how many are you going to burn? As few as possible.
Yes.
So we want the first one nearly gone before we put the next one in, because every time we open that door, you're dropping the air pressure.
Yes.
So anyway, what I'm quite excited about today, apart from that, is we're going to see if we can clean this around for Christmas. So something that I found for cleaning stone like this, and you're going to see it, is a bit grubby, because it's what happens to stone, and we want to just clean it up a bit. So what I'm going to do is, I've tried everything for cleaning stone. We've tried cut upholstery cleaner, we've tried different soaps, we've tried different scrubs, we've tried every trick in the book that everybody's suggested, right through to specialist stone cleaners. And do you know what? Most of them are horrible or have not the best results, not the results that I wanted. So the easiest results with the least chemicals that I have ever found. Got a bucket of water and a sponge and a nice little fire. And what we discovered, apart from that, is you see the dark coming up. It's going to go darker to start with anyway. We want to wet this. You got a hairline crack there, you see? You see it? But that's not a problem. That's just what things do over time. You won't see that when it's not wet. We didn't see it before. You won't see it again. But what we want to do is you'll wet it all over. And there you go. That'll clean up quite nice. Now, where this bit is here and that bit there, when it's dark like that and you've wiped it up, if you want it to stay this sort of colour and be really black, you just put a tiny drop of baby oil or WD-40 on that. Will bring this up really lovely to the same colour. So that will stay slightly satinised sheen to it and stay much darker with a tiny bit of WD-40 on it. So we're just going to give this a good wetting down. And what I've discovered the answer to this is bicarbonate of soda. So Chris has brought a great big bag of it. Because do you know what? It's cheap. It's what, about, I think I bought one too. It's about $8.99 or something like that on Amazon on next day. So we'll get a big bag of bicarbonate soda. See, we want this nice. No, I'm just going to pour it on. See, we want this nice and wet. It was not quite like making cakes. Not quite like making cakes. We just want to rub it into the surface. Just like that. Now you can add a bit of water to that and give it a scrub and then put some more on. But then you leave the dry stuff over the surface. And once that's dried out a bit, we just give it a buff and take it off. And after a wee bit, it's amazing how much dirt that this takes out. And I'll bring it back like new. Typically just brings it back. The surface difference. Now it takes a day or two to totally dry this out. Till you dry the stone back out sometimes, because it's going to change colour. So this is just damp now, or it gets damp on the top. But I'm hoping if I just leave this on here for 10 or 15 minutes and then do another bit of video on a bit that we haven't done. What I brought with me is I have brought a couple of wire brushes. Now they're quite soft wire brushes. You see, they're really soft wire brush. This is a brass one. They're not expensive. They were just cheap things online, and there's a slightly harder one because I didn't know what the surface of this stone was going to be like, because some stones are more porous or softer than others, and you'll find it hard to do anything with that with a bit of sandpaper even. But what the sandpaper will do at the end is it more takes the bicarbonate off the surface, so that when you go to get the hoover out to take it up, it extracts it out the surface. And if you need to brush it with a wire brush, you are not going to damage this. I'm not going to damage the first surface. These are really soft. You could put it on your teeth pretty much. This is about as soft as a toothbrush, but it's about 1 inch wide and about 4 inches long. And these just came in a packet somewhere off online. I think it was about 5 or 10 of them or something like that. But they're ever so handy. I use them on my strapping machine for my bander, for my pallet bander, because the teeth on that and the little gears all jam up. So I brush it out the gears with these as well. They're ever so handy. It's only been not even 5 minutes. We'll come back to this in a minute. But if you just give it a rub into the surface as it's drying, or when it's dry, what it extracts and takes out is crazy. Now, the longer you give it, the more that it takes out when it's damp. But I'm hoping we can see a result quite quickly here. It's still damp, so you can't really see. Now this hasn't been very long at all, because yeah, it's going good guns. So this hasn't been very long at all, probably not long enough on there, but we're starting to dry out on here. Hopefully, it's whether or not the light's changing outside, you can see the difference. We're going to use all that again anyway. That's not a problem. But let's move it out the road. And it's whether we can pick it up now the light's changing. What the difference is in the colour. You see it in the daylight. I think we're gonna struggle to bring it up. I'll do it on a demo piece of it back at the unit and show you. But then just give this a rub all over. And this is more just to take the bicarbonate off the surface. So the other thing you can do, and I brought my sandpaper block thingy for that, is I've got a sandpaper block here. This is just a Lidl's one, it wasn't anything fancy. It comes with the strips of paper, but I find it quite handy. That just tucks in under there. Try to do it with one hand is interesting. And then the same on the other side. And I've done this with stone before. It's not too hard that it's going to take it off. But when you rub it on the surface, it's just taking the powder that we put on back off again. It's not going to damage the stone. That here that's coming off is just the bicarbonate soda. I think we need to put it on a curved block to get up on this bit. I'm saying, because you see it and it's dark and it's wet, it doesn't look as bright as what it is. But this bit down here is really starting to come up a tree. You'll probably see it better in a minute, because it's still, that's the difference from where that cloth's been. So you can see that dampness shows up different. But the difference in the tone of the stone on this hearth and the bit we were doing a bit on is hugely different. So when we brush all that off, which we would do, the difference is major. And this is just a cheap piece of very light grit sandpaper, because I'm not trying to sand it. We're not going to do any harm to this stove, because we're not putting in a stone. We're not putting that much pressure on it. It's just to take the bicarbonate off the surface, and it extracts it with the moisture, and it is so much cleaner. And it's not even dry yet, because this bit's still wet, you can see, but it's going to get lighter and lighter and paler and pull the dirt out as you go. And this bit here still damp, we've got stuff on it. If I can brush some of that off now, maybe it'd be better with a wire brush for up here, and you brush that off. the difference in how clean it comes up is vast. And we're not seeing it as best, but I've got a light piece of stone in at work, and I've already videoed some of this before, but my video footage is rubbish. So I'll do another bit because it's going to take a bit of a session on this. And that's going to be stunning when it's done. I wish you could see this the way that I'm seeing it, because
it's lovely.
I'll tell you from a distance, the difference in how clean this is vast, isn't it? You can really notice a huge difference in the cleanliness of this bit of stone. And all you're going to do once that's sat on there and totally dried out is vacuum it up. And then we seal it with litho-thin multi-seal, which is a stone sealant, which I've used in another video. And I'll maybe do a bit on a sample piece of stone so you can see back at the shop. Because if I take it outside, you'll see it better in daylight. We were just suggesting that to use a spray bottle on this to make it damp, given it's upright and we're not taking off. You can see this bit here. That bit there is coming up. You can see it from the angle, from the side. So it makes a vast difference. And it's the cheapest, easiest thing you can do for an $8.99 huge big bag of bicarbonate. It's probably enough to do this about twice. And although it makes a mess, it's nothing that a vacuum cleaner's not going to sort out. And at least it's not sooty. I'll tell you from a distance, the difference in how clean this is vast, isn't it? You can really notice a huge difference in the cleanliness of this bit of stone. And all you're going to do once that's sat on there and totally dried out is vacuum it up. And then we seal it with litho-thin multi-seal, which is a stone sealant, which I've used in another video. And I'll maybe do a bit on a sample piece of stone so you can see back at the shop. Because if I take it outside, you'll see it better in daylight. We were just suggesting that went on brilliant, really quick. You can see from these darker bits or whatever here, when I brush that off, this is grey now because it's pulling all the dirt out that hearth. And the difference is stunning.
It looks grey.
And it looks grey. So we've had about 2 or 3 goes with that and it's damp. But it's not grey because it's damp, it's grey because it's dirt. And the difference, you can't see with the light and the shadows now, the difference of how clean this is coming up is stunning. Absolutely stunning. Now, I don't know if you can see this bit. We didn't put that up there long ago. We've just brushed that off and I'll wipe that off. And it's starting to dry out on this top piece of shelf. So in a few minutes, hopefully that'll dry out. We might see the difference from that side to that side. The air's coming up so bright now. You still see it on the surface. So that's like just a bit of fine emery. It's not sandy even. It's just to take the bicarb back out the surface so you can hoover it up better. So clean, isn't it? I've tried everything.
This is fabulous. Oh my goodness.
There you go, it's starting to take it out the surface.
That is now, isn't it?
It is, it just takes time. And it's just pulling the bicarb off the surface.
It's a bit looking dirty. Honestly, the difference.
It's good, isn't it?
It's going to be better when you get this.
Yeah.
This
I've tried
this is
ever so
lucky.
When it's done. How exciting. The difference that stone's going to come up when you see the colour of the top of it.
I just think it's just a lovely surround.
Isn't it? It is a stunning surround, and the shape of it with those curves is beautiful. You can see the difference in here to these top bits, and it's still drying out. And I haven't done all that, it's just wet. But it is developing like a picture put in film. It's coming up so fast.
It is.
I'm dying to see for these guys what it looks like
I'm
when
really
it's all
pleased
done.
with it.
Because it's going to come up lovely. It won't take too much to do that. Yeah, you can see the difference from there to there. You can see it in the pores and the water, and that bicarbonate is grey, and it's just because it's lifting the dirt out like a poultice.
Really, it now looks a feature, and it looks so clean. It sets the room, doesn't it?
It does, it's beautiful. It's really coming up.
really
It's
chuffed with
really coming up a treat, and it's brightening by the minute. And you can definitely see from the left to the right the difference.
I know.
And given we can't get anything different, and I'm sat on the sofa, that is
It
just
looks
the
lovely.
perfect view.